Today, we're going to do our top 5 albums of 2023. What an incredible year of music. I feel like I say that every year for the last, probably 29 years that I've been
Yes, you
alive.
do.
But what an incredible year of music. I'm just so, I loved everything that I heard. Yeah, but we're going to do a little differently than we've done in the past. Usually like the last 5 years, Cullen, we've done our top 5 albums of the year, and it's just been you and I. But
Yeah.
this year, we scheduled it thinking it was just going to be you and I. And then I thought to myself, you know what? We've got a few friends that probably have liked some music in 2023. Let's invite them on. So we've got our good friend Austin Visser, who basically is like a co-host of the Black Sheep podcast at this point, and our good friend Justin Jones from Idle Threat. I guess I didn't even mention that Austin's in the Undertaking. Go check them out, I guess.
Undertaking exclamation point. Yes.
And then we also got Justin Jones from Idle Threat, and he graciously decided to get out of bed in the evening to hang out with us and talk about his top 5 albums of the 2023.
I swear,
Justin's basically a co-host as well at this point.
We're just gonna roast my bedhead. I took a nap. Okay, adults do that sometimes.
I took a nap like 4 hours ago, and I don't look like you right now.
Can we all just take a moment, though? Can we all just take a moment and say, we've all got great hairlines?
That is true.
Like, that is not something you can say
Austin.
about a lot of people. We all have got great hairlines.
And Austin, you're the old one of the bunch. You have probably the best one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking good over there.
Damn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, all
you're
I
a
gotta
Padres
say-
fan. I
Crazy what
can't
long hair
imagine
and a
there's
beard
not more
can do to a
gray
guy.
hairs, but still.
It's slowly going backwards, but it's still pretty good.
Damn.
As
Colin,
long
that's
as
a
it's a
great
slow retreat.
observation.
Yeah. I just, I'm proud of you guys, If you
All right,
if
album
you
number
teach- if you
number
teach-
5.
if you teach high schoolers like me, the biggest thing that they want to try to dog on people is their bad hairlines. It's the funniest thing.
Low blow.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There was a guy that quit last year because people were making fun of his hairline.
That's so funny.
It is, but I also feel bad for the dude.
I don't
LeBron?
know.
Have you ever seen the tweet that's it's like LeBron's hairline in
Yeah,
2020 or sorry, in 2010, and then you see his hairline now, and it's and the tweet is 30 for 30 voice. What if I told you the greatest comeback on a basketball court wasn't actually on a basketball court?
It was on somebody's head. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so my
let's
first
do our
question-
let's do
No.
our top 10. So we're gonna go, and these are
Top 10 or
ranked, by
top
the
5? What the fuck, Mason? Are
Top
we doing
5.
top 5 or top 10?
way. We're gonna do
No,
top 5.
here's
Sorry.
my question.
Okay.
Why are we still ranking albums in 2023? In a day and age where the music industry actively punishes bands for putting out albums? Because I was asking all these questions. EPs technically don't count. We're not talking about just songs and singles. You guys were talking about albums.
EPs
in a day
count.
and age-
We're doing EPs as well. Mason's done an EP
Wait, so-
the last 3 years.
So I gotta put my EP at the top of the list then.
Yes, you do.
Put your
You're
EP,
Okay,
quiet.
that's fine.
put your P up there.
All right, here's the deal. The music industry is broken, and we're gonna jump into top 5 albums. of
Are you just mad
2023.
because we just got off the line with Militia Group's founder?
No, because I had to look up who that was. I was listening and Googling at the same time.
You
I was
didn't
texting
know
Justin.
who you
I
didn't
don't
know
know
who
who-
Militia Group is?
I mean, I saw a guy's face. This is inside. I came into the podcast early, and they were already podcasting with somebody else. So I had to listen to them for 20 minutes, talk to somebody else, and I had to figure out who it was in real time. Was his name Rory?
Yeah,
That's right.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
That's good.
So I now am familiar with his whole shtick.
you're a sleuth, man.
Yeah. Look at you. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like the reason why we try to keep it as much album-centric as possible is because every now and then there's an incredible song like Nora Curse that comes out where it's all right, could put this in our top 5, but it's just one song. So we don't want to do that.
Well, thanks for listening to that song. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I love when the Undertaking decides to be just like a post-rock band.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the other one? Think about it, Peter. Dystopia.
Yeah, dude.
It just seems Wi-Fi or whatever.
That
it's
one's
called.
like seriously one of my favorite songs of the year already.
Oh, thank you.
Look
Well,
at that.
so we've been sitting on those songs for 2 years. If you look back at like old Instagram posts, I've put that as like the background to some songs,
Yeah.
and we just never put them out. And so a couple weeks ago, I was like, guys, like we got to get songs into the like the Spotify like algorithm again,
Into the ether.
because next thing you know, you're sitting. I mean, Justin, like next thing you know, you're sitting there for like 2 years without a new song coming out, and so we're just like starting to ping it again. So we've got like a bunch of these remixes / reimaginings coming out, and biding time before we have some real songs. So we're stoked. I mean, Brent's an EDM producer. Johnny made the lo-fi one, so we can do that in house. So it's
sick.
fun. It's a good exercise.
Yeah. Well, let's get that out of the way really quick. Justin, new music, right? Coming.
Yeah, next year.
Next year, what time?
2024
roughly.
So timetable very, very fuzzy. I would like to have it out by summer of 24. But we'll see. We'll see.
Anything we could expect to hear on it? This is for Idle Threat, by the way. Just let the listeners know.
Yeah. So Idle Threat LP2. We're gonna do it with Michael Palmquist. Probably recording in Nashville and Springfield, Missouri. But those are really the only details I can give out like right now. We're still putting stuff together right now, but we should start recording next month, which I don't know when this is going to come out, but in January of 24 is when we'll start tracking. So
sick, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
We're excited. Very, very excited for it. It's going to be cool.
Love it. Are we ready to do top 5 albums?
All right, top 5
2023.
EPs.
Austin's been ready for 40 minutes.
Yeah, Austin's stewing over here.
He's like,
just waiting.
Let's go.
All right, let's start out with top 5 because we are ranking these. So that like our number 1 is truly our favorite album of 2023, and so we're actually going to rank these, despite what Austin would like. But good thing he's not in charge of this podcast. He can do the Undertaking podcast and make his own rules. But these are the rules of the Black Sheep podcast. So
Austin, as a Black Sheep, I'm just gonna say right now, you should buck the trend and just do all singles.
Just do what you want.
I can mute him and I can take him off the call. So
Mason, why you gotta be?
Aside, all jokes aside, I have ranked 4 albums in 1 EP.
Okay, good.
In numerical order. I hate ranking stuff, and so typically when I do favorite movies, favorite albums, like I have a group of college friends who we like kind of share what we liked. I always do these were my favorite things, because I think objectively, like I hate that we're saying like your number 1 was better than my number 1, because there's like no way to actually rank them unless Justin and I both share the same number 2.
Rank your favorite wife.
No.
Are you Mormon?
I only have 1. Exactly. Justin, what's your 5th favorite album of 2023?
So
whoa. I gave you creative license to do singles, and you're all of a sudden taking over the podcast. No. Mason, proceed.
Justin, what's your 5th favorite album of 2023?
So I'm just gonna go against the grain as well. I'm gonna give you my number 4 first. So my 4th favorite record that came out this year was Fall Out Boy's return quote unquote record. So Much for Stardust, because they kind of got back to their pop punk sound. I don't know. Did you guys listen to it at all? Are y'all Fall Out Boy fans?
No, I haven't been a teenage girl for probably ever.
Wow, Mason, low blow, man, low blow.
That's okay.
Justin, you and I have not spent like a ton of time together, but based on like our online personalities, I feel like we have a lot of music like crossover and movie crossover. So yes, despite the 2 people that are above us in this video grid, I'm familiar with the Fall Out Boy album, and it was good. I was happy to see that they like.
What did you like about it, Austin?
I think it was more closer to the early Fall Out Boy stuff than it was their newer, where it got more pop centric, and now it's a little bit more of the, I don't know if you'd classify them as emo, but
yeah, they played like actual instruments again. Like that was nice. So yeah, and like I mean, I've always been a massive Fall Out Boy fan. I kind of fell off after Save Rock and Roll. So I've been waiting for this record to come out for like years. But like I wouldn't even be playing drums if it wasn't for Andy Hurley. And I just, I love Patrick Stump's voice. Their lyrical work has always been fun. I'll try not to gush too much about this record since you guys didn't listen to it.
Quick question though. What is with the meme of everyone saying they can't understand what he's saying in the lyrics?
I mean, sometimes I don't know, maybe it's something with like, I'm not a vocalist. I don't know like the, actual terms or whatever, but it does sound like he like kind of mush mouths some things sometimes.
I've always been able to understand what he's saying. I've never understood why people like dog on him about that, because I've totally been able to understand him. It's way better than like 90% of the music that I listen to, at least.
Right. When people just yelling where you can't understand anything at all, like I would rather have Patrick Stump being like, oh, the whole time. But, that's just me.
I love it.
But yeah, I don't know. Like if y'all haven't heard that record or anybody listening, go check it out. You might not like it, but I don't know. It's kind of getting back to the old days of Fall Out Boy playing actual pop punk music, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it.
Sick, man. All right,
love it.
I dig it.
Austin,
so that was your number 4. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, that was number 4. I mean, this is gonna screw me up, but Austin,
what's your number
please
5?
Don't start at number 4.
Well, I'm not. I want to know why Justin started at number 4 and not number 5.
So. Because he is a black sheep. We are
playing by our own rules. This is the Undertaking podcast, okay?
Welcome to episode 1 of the Undertaking podcast. My name's Austin, and here joining me today is Justin from Idle Threads.
You got to have a motto. You got to have a motto. This is the Undertaking podcast, putting the fun back into funeral.
That's right.
My number 5. I have a hard time ranking stuff, like I said. So what I categorize with all the stuff I listen to, because if something comes out and like Red Herring posts about it and State of the Scene posts about it, you guys post about something, I try to listen to it. So I'm consuming like a lot of music, but a lot of what I try to put on my list is stuff that I listen to on repeat, or an album when it ended and it started over again. Like I was okay just like letting it play. And so that's kind of where I'm at on my list, is like at the end of an album, because I'm 36, so I still prefer to listen to an album 1 through 10 or 1 through 11. That's just the experience that I like. And so if an album ends and it starts over again, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, I'll keep going. My number 5 was a band called Mouth Breather. It's an album called Self Tape. You'll see from my 2 heavy bands that I have on here, like I want more distortion, and I want I'm always chasing a little bit of like the Chariot. I want that feeling again. And I think
I couldn't tell from your band.
There's a lot of music that I don't like that I've listened to this year. And so I'm under the opinion that metalcore has gotten a little bit too produced again, and a little bit too polished and a little too clean. And so Mouth Breather is one of those bands where they turned the gain up, they turned everything just up to like 11. And so if you check them out, they're very chaotic, they're very noisy. They have 2 singers, or they're vocalists and then a vocalist on guitar, and they're always kind of pinging back and forth. And it's a good album. I think they're a newer band like the last couple of years. I'm not super familiar with them, but Mouth Breather. Great.
Are they American? I have not heard them before.
I don't know where they're from, but they're from, I think, the East Coast somewhere, or Midwest. They're on Forthright. They're with Forthright Booking, and they're sick. They tour all over the place, but
cool.
Check them out.
Cool. Yeah, I remember when you mentioned in our group text that this was a band that you were going to have on your list. I looked them up really quick, and I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Jesus Piece in terms of the like just chaotic energy. But also like they've kind of got their own style too as well, which
their vocalists sound the same. like they sound similar. I checked out the Jesus Piece album. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sorry. But their vocalists kind of have that same tone.
I love that.
Yeah, I dig it. I mean, it like I could totally see why at certain points in Undertaking's music you would also hear some mouth breather stuff because like the chaos, the rawness of it was great.
Whenever I hear the word mouth breather, all I can think of is the movie Deliverance. You guys ever seen that? You know, like the dueling banjos or whatever. One of the guys like, you got a bird in mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It reminds me of Justin Jones, like wanting you to squeal like a pig.
Oh boy. Here we go.
All right. We ready for our top 5, Cullen? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. You can always go last. That's a good way to do things.
That's fine.
My number 5 is Omni Part 1. Okay, I was talking. No big deal. Mine is Omni Part 1 from Project 86. They're great. I kind of fell off the Project 86 bandwagon a while ago. This record is a massive departure from the earlier stuff. Yeah. Way heavier, super thematic. Has a lot of really interesting themes that I think are pertinent to today and tomorrow and the future and everything like that. Andrew Schraub definitely like goes to the next level in terms of like a vocalist as well as a songwriter. I think it's definitely something to look for to look for and listen to if you haven't yet this year. And then our part 2 is coming out soon. So not to mention it's like a whole like multimedia experience, which is definitely something to check out as well. Loved it. It's great stuff.
It was, I mean, it's got to be their best album for the last 15 years. I think it's
I would argue
good.
It's been their I would argue it's their best album so far.
I mean, there's an argument to be made about that, but certainly at least like the last 15 years, it's got to be
easily
their best. It's so heavy. It's probably their heaviest album that they've ever done. And you know, a lot of people start thinking about like drawing black lines and like there's songs to burn bridges to or whatever it was called with Spy Hunter, like some of the heavier stuff from that time frame, and it's so good. But the riffs and just the heaviness of this album is uncanny. And also, can we just mention? I was just watching Furnace Fest kind of like moments, and so I was watching the Project 86 Furnace Fest show, and Andrew was literally in the crowd, like crowd surfing the entire time.
Yeah, he looked possessed up there too. It was
awesome.
It was great.
I don't know if you guys know they played 2 bands after us on the main
stage.
They
did, so, yeah.
That's right.
That might be part of the reason that I love the experience so much is because I got to see the Undertaking beforehand. It was like a wonderful appetizer, great main course,
This was
Mason wouldn't know anything about that because he wasn't there for the Undertaking.
I was listening to it. I was just hanging out with Reliant K.
Oh boy.
Oh, I think you were getting shoes at Target.
Are you talking about Undertaking or are you talking about Project 86?
Yeah, I was talking about the Undertaking.
We already talked about this. We don't need
I just want to remind Mason that he missed.
We've hashed this out already. Yeah, the therapy has already been done.
You know the whole thing about you can forgive somebody, but you don't need to forget about it. That's just
that's right. That's right. Don't forget.
Austin hasn't forgotten.
That Mason.
I was really happy to see that you guys put Project 86 on your list because this album is sick. Co-written by a lot of the guys in Norma Jean, and you can hear those influences like crazy. So it kind of came through the Undertaking chat of like the Undertaking text thread was like, have you guys listened to this new Project 86 album? Like it's heavy, and that's like that's so cool.
You can hear it. All right, my 5th favorite album of the year was Silent Planet's Super Bloom, a band that has been a friend of the podcast that we all love. Garrett, just Silent Planet is such a sick band. They just keep figuring out ways to like make their sound a little different and also make incredibly catchy but heavy shit. I mean, just there are moments in this album where it's like some of the popular stuff you would ever hear from Silent Planet, but also there's moments where it's like, this is literally the heaviest thing I've ever heard Silent Planet ever do. And they're just able to figure that out in such interesting ways. The whole album is basically like conspiracy theories, which I love as well. Just everything about it is like so Silent Planet. It's so good. I feel like they're just one of those bands that keeps getting better and better with each album. And yeah, Super Boom is another step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so what's really funny about that is I think the first time I got to sit down and like listen to it, I was like working and put it on in the background, and there was like, and you guys will know what I'm talking about. There was a couple songs I'm like, am I listening to Dayseeker? And then like I would like, kind of be doing something, and then I'm like, did I put Meshuggah on? What is going on? But dude, Silent Planet has always been one of my favorite bands. And like especially Alex's drumming, that guy is just an absolute unit behind the drum set. And I wish to be a fraction of talented as he is. But this record is absolutely killer. I know like a lot of people on the internet have been like kind of back and forth on all that, but this record is maybe my favorite from them so far.
Yeah, I think Mason and I would agree because we've always liked Silent Planet, but we've never been like at that like super fandom where we're like, oh my gosh, this is like a seminal record. This one is that in my opinion, and I think Mason would probably agree with that as well.
Yeah. It's I think it's their best in their discography, and I would have thought about that in their last album too. Like they just seem to get better with every album. They're so good.
Sweet.
All right, top 5 there, or the fifth one. Now let's get to 4 or maybe 5 for you, Justin. Where were you going with this?
So
either 3 or 5.
Here on the Undertaking podcast, I'm gonna do my number 1. No, I'm just kidding. I'll do my number 5. So my number 5 is actually Miley Cyrus's "Endless Summer Vacation." And
is she the most talented pop artist out there right now?
Dog, I don't get me started, but
keep talking. I'll be right back.
She absolutely gives people a run for their money. Miley can sing her ass off. And then I don't know, like I just think her whole circle is so like talented. I would love to argue about this later for anybody who hears this and is like, Miley Cyrus sucks, but like Endless Summer Vacation is phenomenal. I'm assuming that you guys have at least heard the singles on it.
Yeah. You can buy me some flowers.
Dude, that's the best song that came out this year. I'm not kidding. Like dead serious, that was the best single that dropped in 23.
Heard it everywhere. That flower song you couldn't escape it.
You can't. And like I didn't hate that. Like sometimes I hear pop songs and like, you hear it a million times in the grocery store and like at work and whatever in your car. But like every time I heard Flowers, I'd be like, this song is so good. So I don't know.
I think I heard that it was the fastest song to 1 billion streams ever.
And deservedly so.
I could see that.
I will die on this hill. It's
so
good.
The reason I left for a moment, my wife loves reminding me of this. Miley Cyrus and I are birthday buddies. We have the same birthday.
Nice.
And so for my birthday,
same day, like that, born on the same day.
Same day, within an hour of each other. So my wife loves reminding me of this, and she knows that I'm not like the biggest Miley Cyrus fan. She got me this birthday card.
Oh my god!
From Redbubble, but the problem was that she forgot to like customize it, so it says "Happy Birthday, Ashley." So this comes in the mail. I'm like, who the fuck is Ashley?
Yeah, what is going on?
And why? Oh my gosh, it's Miley Cyrus. Yeah,
dude.
Then I got the joke.
You just gave me the best idea, and you're gonna get a text from me later where I'm gonna take that Rolling Stone like pinup set that Miley did earlier this year, and I'm gonna Photoshop your face on her naked body.
Yes.
Justin, this is the time to tell you. I am Miley Cyrus.
I knew it. Like the whole Hannah Montana thing, I knew it was you.
This is the climb, baby.
What,
All right, let's
what
do
was
it.
that pose?
That was
This
his
is my
wrecking ball
Miley Cyrus.
pose.
This is my Miley Cyrus pose.
Yeah, it's great. That is great.
It's basically her, right?
No,
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. I didn't get super into that album, but I'm just so impressed that she can do like the rock and roll stuff, that she can be a pop artist. I feel like coming from her background as like a child star, like there's so many opportunities for her to fail and for her to kind of like slowly morph into this like Dolly Parton, like the next Dolly Parton. They've made music together and stuff. Like I just think that's so cool, especially in like the pop world. That's got to be so hard to navigate success and to stay at that level for so long, because I feel like every force is like trying to crush her.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, she gained a lot of street cred with me when she started doing like a whole bunch of like songs and stuff like that with the Flaming Lips, which I thought was super cool. I don't know if she was like friends with like she was friends with like Wayne Coyne through a mutual friend, and they ended up like doing like some collaboration. That part was like really, really sick. They should do more music together, is what I'm saying.
Right. Like so the only like Miley story that I have was there was one time my friend Cole and I, we went to 8th and Roast in Nashville, and this was when Idol had gotten our last round of masters from Blurred Visions, and I took him to my car and I was like showing him our new music, and we ended up just having a little like car jam or whatever, and Miley and whoever was with her got out of a Tesla like next to us.
What?
And I got like and I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever.
Did you get out and tell her to like to listen to Idle Threat?
That could have changed the course of our
for
career,
real,
and I didn't do it. So
missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed opportunity there.
Dude, you miss all the shots you don't take. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Shit.
Right.
Jesus, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. All right, Austin, number 4.
My number 4 album this year was The Sin of Human Frailty by End. Been a big fan of that supergroup for a bit, and it's just one of those albums, like I said, that when I would put it on, I'd end up listening to it like 2 or 3 times on repeat, because you kind of just get into the zone. They experimented a little bit with their sound, where there are a couple songs like a little bit more like a Nine Inch Nail type of industrial vibe, which I wasn't as big of a fan of when that single dropped, but I think in the context of an album, it fit really well. And I'm just a big fan of like their somehow sloppy yet tight breakdowns, that they can like hit such like a heavy note, general note, not like specific note, but also have something that's like concise and tight. Like it doesn't go like off the rails. And then I'm just like mind blown by the fact that is it Brendan, the counterpart singer and singer, is the same guy, and he can make his voice sound so differently. It's really cool. I like that album a lot.
Yeah, that
is the vinyl record is so sick too. Have you guys seen it?
No.
It's die cut. So when you pull it out, it's like a guy with like his open chest cavity, and when you pull it out, like each layer is like another layer of his like body. It's just, so they like put effort into the packaging.
Yeah, that's
cool.
So
I
cool.
am totally on board with that.
Yeah,
I wonder if Jason Zemet has seen that yet. I bet he has. If not, we'll have to suggest it to him. Yeah,
that's
he would lose his mind over it.
All right,
I do love.
Or go ahead.
All right, we'll just move on. My number 4 is Mirrorland by Harada, which is Peter Esquivel's side project, I guess you could say, because now he's back in X-Toll again, which is badass. But Harada is atmospheric and beautiful and just really, really comforting. I listened to it way more often than I thought I would. Initially, like when he first started coming out with some music, I was like, this is good, but I wasn't like blown away by it. And then as time went on, I was like, this is definitely in my heavy rotation. It is so just lush and gorgeous and beautiful. And I want to listen to it all the time. Especially like when I'm reading, I'll have it on in the background, or if I'm driving at night, I'll listen to it. I love it. It's great for that.
That album, it's so unique sounding. You don't really,
Yeah.
you
I've
don't,
never heard anything like it.
yeah, you don't really get anything quite like it. And also, Peter is just like the coolest guy, like the
Oh my
nicest guy
God.
ever.
I want him to be my dad.
He's great.
Yeah.
Dude,
I often
I'm
think
sold
about
on
our like
this.
interview with him, where it's like literally the fjord in the background.
Yeah, he's
and-
just hanging out on his deck. He's like showing us all of his like smoking, like his like brisket smoking setup and everything. He's got it going on.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
this is my new best friend, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Absolutely.
Not
Bet.
only was he in Legendary Extol, but he also is like a Norwegian gentleman who lives along the banks of a fjord and smokes meats on his deck. It's great. It's wonderful.
Live and die by the meat, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, you know it.
He can
Live
do it
brisket,
because he's got
baby.
free healthcare out there.
I don't know what that has anything to do with smoking meats. I think the best smokers of meats in the entire world have never seen the inside of a hospital. So
That might be the case. All right. Harada, incredible album. Yeah, big fan. My number 4 is an artist that like I never really got into before, and then I heard this album and I was like, oh, like I get it now. And they've been a big metal, kind of big heavy artist for a few years, but I never really quite got them until this album. But that is Code Orange's The Above. Such a sick album. There are so many moments in that album where you're like, this is Linkin Park new metal stuff, and then you hear some breakdowns where it's like, this is one of the heaviest breakdowns I've ever heard in my life. And you get all of it. You get Billy Corgan on this album, and then you also get just like literally face melting kind of breakdowns, and you just get all of it. It's so well done. I can see why, like they're one of those bands where I'm like, I don't understand why they are so big in that world, like why they're able to get some of the biggest shows in the heavy music world. Now I get it. It makes sense to me now. And this album solidified that for me. So that's my number 4.
Dude, so Code Orange Kids, and then when they changed their name to Code Orange, Love is Love, Return to Dust, and then I Am King are two of my favorite like heavy records of all time. And then after they did Underneath, like they kind of fell off for me, but they're just out there killing it. And I admittedly, as of right now, while we're recording this, I haven't listened to the new record yet, but I've only heard good things, and I think you just sold me on it. So I'm gonna check it out after this and get back with you.
Yeah, I
Justin,
think again, I don't listen to a lot of the earlier stuff. I know like how heavy it was. You get that, and you get some of these like really interesting kind of new metal kind of iterations of what Code Orange can do. It's really fascinating how they're able to meld that all together. I love it. It's so good.
Justin, you were actually the one that kind of solidified it for me, because so for me, band names is a big thing where I won't listen to a band if their band name sucks. It's like the first like barrier of entry, right? And I hate the name Code Orange. I think it's terrible. And you were telling me about Code Orange, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a look. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually really fucking good. So thank you for turning me on to them, Justin. That's all you, baby.
I turn you on in many ways.
Not just albums.
Multiple.
Not just albums.
That's right.
All right, Justin, number 3.
Yeah. Oh, careful with lifting your sleeve there. Oof.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm still in my underwear, by the way.
Show it.
But
Prove it. Prove it.
My
No balls.
none. I'm a eunuch.
None.
I'm a eunuch.
So
you and me both, buddy.
my number 3 record, and this one, I will say my top 3 has been kind of interchangeable, but as of right now, number 3 for me is Citizens Calling the Dogs. And I don't know if you guys fuck with Citizen or if anybody listening is, but
just the watches.
I absolutely love that band. Matt Koreckis is one of my favorite like frontmen and lyricists and vocalists.
Oh, you're not talking about Adam's band?
No. So Citizen. Yeah. We'll skip over that. So their new record, it's just like there's like some pop influence there, and like to me, like you can tell that they just toured with bands like Ceremony, and like Ceremony is one of my very favorite bands, but there's like some poppy stuff on this new Citizen record. There's like I don't know, like there's some songs like this could have been straight out of the 70s, you know. But Matt just like went off on vocals, and it's just like super fun, and like I don't know, there's like slower songs, there's sad songs, there's upbeat songs, like there's anything a Citizen fan would want, it's in there. But then also like I got to see them on their 10-year anniversary of Youth, and they were playing some of these new songs before they came out. And I remember I was up in Boston with my partner, and we saw these shows. We heard those new songs for the first time, and I was like, this record is either going to be like their best or it's going to be just like completely out in left field. And before it came out, I saw a couple interviews where Matt was just like, yeah, this record is meant to be heard like in a live setting. I hope it translates. So like listening to the record, I understand why some people are like, oh, it's fine. But like they just toured on it, and like the songs are just so fun. Like I've seen a lot of bands like put out killer records, and then you see them live and like they're just not having fun on stage, or like you can tell they're just like a recorded band. Like that's not how I'm wired. I'm much more of a live music person. So like seeing this record live and like really getting to experience those songs the way that they wrote them was just so much fun. And I do think I think it's their best record. It's not my favorite from them, but it's their best. So check out the new Citizen record, Calling the Dogs.
Austin, what's your number 3 album of the year?
Well, again, I have a hard time with lists, and I hate that I'm always like, oh, well, actually. And so then
was it your Christopher Walken impression?
Well, actually. I just watched a thing with Will Forte that Will Forte can't do a Christopher Walken impersonation. Funny story. Side note, so these are kind of tangentially connected. The National put out 2 albums this year, which were great. And so I don't have room for both of those, but they had like Phoebe Bridgers and Taylor Swift sang on it. Bon Iver was on those. And I am just such a huge fan of the National. And so I've talked on this podcast before, and I've talked before that 2 of my biggest influences in my songwriting and how I approach lyrics are the National and Sufjan Stevens. And so this year, my number 3, probably my number 1, I'm not really sure. Like I feel like in the future, it'll be like my favorite album of the year is I had Sufjan Stevens' Javelin, which Carrie & Lowell is my favorite album probably of all time. It came out at like the right time. My wife and I saw him at the Copley Symphony Hall in San Diego. So it was one of those like transcendent experiences. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on this podcast specifically because I think we've had this conversation. So when Sufjan does his like kind of more pulled back and scaled back songwriting, that just like strikes me in an emotional core that few things kind of can. And so you get this album, which I think is great. So anyways, I'm a huge Sufjan fan, been a fan of his since he started doing his state albums and all that kind of stuff. And when you get this type of Sufjan, that's like a direct hit to my being.
your dopamine centers, right?
Yeah. Which then on that note is an interesting year, even for like movies, because this year in movies, you had a Christopher Nolan film, you had a Scorsese's film, you had like a Sofia Coppola film, like all these like amazing, you had a Wes Anderson film, like all these amazing directors came out with their movies this year, which I think is a product of COVID kind of pushing things back. And then it all landed on this year.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. Ridley Scott. Like I'm saying, like all these great directors came out with stuff. And I think the same thing a little bit happened with music where you ended up with just a ton of great albums. And I don't know if that's because of COVID, it kind of pushed things back, but it just seemed like this year, a lot of bands that I love like put out music or put out something. And so yeah. Anyways, Sufjan Stevens, like the crosshair of what cuts to my heart.
I'm a massive Sufjan
Love it.
fan. This album narrowly, like it would be in my honorable mentions. It's just an incredible album. What I love about this album is it feels so like it was released in such a Sufjan way, because he
Yeah.
announced that the album was coming out and then also announced that he almost died this last year.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like the week that the album comes out, his partner died.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not only did he announce that like his partner died, it basically like meant that he came out of the closet, which a lot of people had been speculating for years. It was just like
Yeah.
all of this felt like the most Sufjan way of all of this to happen. And anyway, unbelievable album, and it also just came out in like such a weirdly Sufjan way for it to come out.
The thing I love about. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it. I wasn't going to get into that kind of stuff, but Mason, I appreciate you mentioning that, because that like informs a lot of like the context behind the
100%.
album, whatnot. He's such a good storyteller.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I love about him is that he's like an enigma, right? He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't like talk to people really. He doesn't like put himself out there. He doesn't have a big social media presence. He's just Sufjan. He's a
He
fucking
still
great
uses
artist.
Tumblr.
Still uses Tumblr. Like he's just a personality that shows through the music and pretty much the music only. And I love that about him.
That's him through and through. Yeah, he's an interesting figure, but yeah, unbelievable album.
Yeah, Javelin's in my honorable mentions as well. So,
Cullen,
number three is Ugly Pretty. It is an EP. It's the only EP I've ever put on a top 5 list. Now, The Undertaking has an EP this year that was on my honorable mentions. It just narrowly missed it. But Bad Christian, Music is the EP name. Ugly Pretty is the band. This is an up and coming band. It's 10 minutes of music, but it's 10 minutes of some of the best music I've ever heard in my life. If it was an album, I guarantee you it'd be my number 1 this year. It's everything that we all love about music. It's hardcore at times. It's emo at times. It's like singer songwriter beautiful at times. Like it's everything wrapped into 10 minutes. I don't know how it's possible, but this guy did it. It's the most surprising piece of music I have heard in a long time. It's just I'm really glad that he's making music. So that's my number 3. Mason disappeared. Probably went to go get a drink. Neither of you guys have heard Ugly Pretty yet.
Yeah, I've gotta check this out.
I listened to him today.
You listened to him today. What do you think first listen?
I thought it was cool. Like I said, I asked for your guys' top 5 so I could like at least just hear a couple songs, and it was cool. It was it was a lot. Like I was surprised at how short the songs were, and it was just like, oh, this is cool.
The thing I love most about it is that he's a dude that's like, yes, he's like a Christian and everything like that, but he's like pushing the boundaries on some things. I mean, dropping F-bombs and everything like that. That's like one thing. Yeah, right. I mean, like gasp, clutch your pearls, right? But it's for like a great message. Mason, your number 3.
My number 3 is a band that I think was in my top 5 a couple years ago. They had an EP, so it was one of those EPs that somehow snuck in. But they had an EP that was like immediately like, this is incredible. It's like emo, there's screamo, there's like pop punk. It just kind of has all these really cool elements. But the band is called Home Is Where, and they had their first full length called The Wailer. It just, again, it does pop punk, screamo, emo, all of those things combined in such an incredible way. I love it. I mean, everything about it. There's catchy parts to it. There's the heavy stuff to it. I mean, just everything about it is incredible. And they're also one of those bands that are so good at like the marketing in terms of like being kind of a meme band, and they just nail that so well. So anyway, Home Is Where, so good.
It's a great album.
I can't recommend enough Home Is Where to anyone that's interested in any of that kind of music.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you, Mason.
So anyway, that's my number 3. Back to you, Justin.
You're number one.
Two.
Let's go number one. Why not number one now, right?
I don't like that. Number two.
You have been heavily vetoed here on the Undertaking podcast. So my number two is probably my number one, but I keep flip-flopping. Like I said, like my top three are just interchangeable, but my number two as of right now is Rustin Kelly's The Weakness. And I could probably talk about this record for a long time, but I'll spare you. But I think this record is by far his best. But I don't know, like there's just something so special about it. Like my second favorite song that came out this year was Holy Shit. But like, I don't know, this record is just very passionate. Like obviously it's about his breakup with Casey Musgraves. But like, it's just very real. Like a lot of breakup records are just like, you know, kind of like a, you know, oh, I'm so sad. Like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, deal with this way, blah, blah, blah. It's just like very surface level. But this one is just like, it gets into the nitty gritty of like breaking up with somebody that you love. And I don't know if you guys or if anybody that has or is listening to this or whatever has heard this record, but you absolutely should go check it out. There's slow songs in it. There's more poppy songs in it. There's songs that make me feel like I'm watching a movie from the 90s. I'm just a really, really big fan of Rustin Kelly's songwriting and his voice. And I think that the passion really bleeds through the audio into your ears on this one. So, yeah.
So something that's interesting about I've never heard of Rustin Kelly, but the fact that he's dating Casey Musgraves, that he was dating Casey Musgraves is enough for me. I'm interested. I'm going to go listen.
So they were married.
They were married. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. And this is probably not true, and it's a hot take, but I loved Casey Musgraves' Golden Hour, and
it's a beautiful record.
I have such a speculation that Rustin, I don't know if this is true, I haven't looked at the liner notes or anything, but I feel like he heavily influenced or ghost wrote that record, because when she did Star-Crossed or whatever, it just like did not hold a candle to Golden Hour. And Rustin Kelly is just such a great songwriter and storyteller. And like, you know, this record's so raw. I know somebody else in this is going to carry this, but like, I don't know. It's just like he just like really laid it all out for everybody to hear, like his side of everything. And I just fucking loved it.
Sick, man. All right. I'm going to check it out.
Love it.
I'm right there with you, Justin. I think it's probably my favorite album of this year, because I went back and I listened to it just a bunch. And so my number two album on my list is Rustin Kelly, The Weakness, right? And so it's the closest I feel like we've gotten to like an old Dashboard Confessional album.
Wow. Okay.
All right. That's a good comparison.
Masked with a little bit more folk influence. And so that was the artist the Tiniest Man Alive. I can't remember what he was called. It was a Tiniest Man Alive, I think it was the artist. And there's some songs where it's just Rustin Kelly on his like banjo doing stuff that's like real broken down. If you are listening to this, just pull up the song. First song on the album is called The Weakness, and it's got one of my favorite lines on like the whole year that I've heard. And then the song Michael Keaton probably has the best chorus.
Yeah, it's so good.
Wait. Michael Keaton is on the album?
No. The song title is
no, it's okay.
And
you have to hear this record. It's so good.
All right, I'm checking it out. You guys have sold me 100%.
Earlier, that's what I was saying, Justin, in my music taste. I think I'm a little bit more pop driven than I appear to be, but this album just like so Brent, the drummer in the Undertaking, sent me The Weakness when it came out as a single, and we're like freaking out about this song. And I've talked about this guy before, but it turns out like our good childhood friend Nate Mercero produced and co-wrote this album.
That's so sick.
And so if you pull up, it's one of those things where like we look at the credit of something, you're like, wow, this like Lizzo song is so sick. It's like, oh, Nate wrote it. Wow, that's a surprise. And so it happens more. Nate was the guitarist on the Andre 3000 flute album.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's badass.
And so he is like he used to be in like very early 2005 Undertaking. He was a guitarist in the band, and obviously he's like surpassed us in every way. But
I'd say.
like aside from that, from our connection to the album, like it was one of those we fell in love with first, and then we were like, oh, our friend helped write this song, which is so bizarre.
I love it.
But yeah, it's
That's
great.
cool.
I could go on forever about it.
That's really cool.
It's the closest I've found to the old Dashboard Confessional vibe that I grew up in like 2004, 2005 listening to.
So what only question, and we can move on. You said your favorite line is from that first song. Is it "fuck that guy, he's just a piece of shit"? It's so good. It's so good. Oh, it's just such it's a real feeling, man. Like I know that you guys, all y'all have been through breakups and stuff before, I'm assuming. It's like you see that person that you used to love and they're with somebody else or whatever. You might not even care. You might be with somebody else and you're happy, but you see that other person, you're like, fuck that dude. It just encapsulates it perfectly. Like, this record is so good.
I get that from Lana Del Rey records. I'm like I'm an
Sure,
unabashed Lana Del Rey fan, and
she's great.
every once in a while she throws out a line like, "Goddamn man child, you fucked me so good, I almost said I love you." Like that's fucking brilliant. That's brilliant. It reminds me of that for some reason. Austin, you only have a couple minutes left, so do you want to do your 2 and number 1?
Yeah, sure. One, we Justin says, "Is this a hard hour? Are we like going for like 1 hour?" And like we started recording like 20 minutes later than the start time because we're just chatting.
That's because we love each other. We're bros. Being bros.
I know. I need to schedule like 3 hours.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's on this podcast. My number 1 of the year was Better Lovers, God Made Me an Animal. I love everything involved in everything involved in this band. Dillinger is great. Every Time I Die is great. And what they've created now is great. This is the second time that Will Putney has popped up on my list as well. So obviously a huge influence on me. But yeah, this album is phenomenal. But I got to see them at Furnace Fest. I missed them when they came to Southern California, but that was amazing. I love what those guys do creatively. So huge fan of that album or EP. And then they came out with another single that is phenomenal. So just, again, one of those things that like cut straight to my core.
That was definitely one of the big surprises of the year, and I was super ecstatic about it. I'm just waiting for an album.
I'm so stoked for their first LP.
It's coming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait. I'll be right there on the pre-order.
Yep. My song of the year was "What Was I Made For" by Billie Eilish.
Is this your number 1? Is this your number 1 album? Is the song?
No. I'm just telling you my favorite song of the year.
I love it. I love Billie Eilish.
My number 1 album was Better Lovers, but the best song that I heard this year was "What Was I Made For," and she just performed it on.
What was your number 2?
The Weakness.
My number 2 was Rustin.
Oh,
Kelly.
Okay. Just checking. I wasn't sure if that was for sure.
Yeah, I just went straight into.
Got it.
With Justin.
Got
it. But my song of the year was "What Was I Made For." She just performed it on SNL, and her and Phineas crushed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm big pop guy, so I'm just a huge fan of that.
I was having this conversation with a friend the other night. We were talking about artists that are going to last into the next couple generations, and like there's a lot of artists right now that aren't going to last in the next couple generations, but like you hear about like the 90s or you think about the 90s for a second and you think about like Ace of Base did not last into today. Like no one remembers Ace of Base and be like, that was a great band, but they were big sellers. But then Mariah Carey was, right? Today, who is the band or who is the artist that is going to last into generations to come? Do you think it's Billie Eilish?
Miley Cyrus.
Okay, Miley Cyrus. I said Taylor Swift for sure. Miley Cyrus probably for sure.
Paramore.
Think Paramore will?
I think so.
Really?
I feel like they won't. Mason.
I think they have like enough diversity in their music and like, but still like a lot of catchiness in all of that diversity. I think they're going to have some staying power.
Okay.
That's fair.
I think the one that we've already missed who has already done that is Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
Like he's already been with us as a culture since 2001
Yeah,
or
but
two,
like
maybe before that with like.
What's the last big record?
He's just
The
gonna.
Suit and Tie was the last thing I can think of that was like that had hit the
I'm
zeitgeist.
sorry. Have you not watched the Troll?
Yeah, I was about to
movie?
say, like, that song was the biggest move, like the
What
biggest
song was
song
that?
forever in like 2017.
What song was that?
Like, Can't Stop the Feeling.
I think. Yeah, and then they just did the NSYNC one with the newest Troll movie that just came out. I just think that he's going to continue to adapt. I think Justin Timberlake will be with us until he's. I think he'll be with us until we are all like 70 or dead.
That's how I
Like,
feel about Kendrick Lamar. He's also like one of my Mount Rushmore artists.
Sure.
I think Kendrick will continue to adapt with the times or whatever.
He said
this genius.
He said he's doing one more record and he's done.
Damn.
He said
I heard that from you.
He said he's hanging. I'm a big Kendrick fan, but he said he was hanging it up.
No.
Yeah. He said he wants Austin, you got to get out.
Are you leaving? Dang,
yeah,
dude.
I got to go. Yeah, I got to go.
Be a dad.
I could stay on this forever.
Love you.
Yeah, I got to be a dad because my wife's actually headed out. I did not properly allocate 3 hours to this podcast. I love you guys. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Love you too, man.
And I hope you have a Happy New Year. Justin, let's tour next year.
We should.
We already talked about that. Mason, Cullen, love you guys.
Too, man.
I have nothing to plug except for to listen to The Undertaking and Idle Threat.
Yeah, you got a new EP. You got new merch. There you go. That's where you're plugging.
I got it all. I love you guys.
Happy Hanukkah.
Man.
Sorry, I got to bounce early.
Be good. Be safe.
All right,
Awesome.
We should roast him now that he's gone.
That's right.
Yeah, that fucking dickhole.
What a great guy. Great hair.
He's too good. He's too good.
So
Dude,
nice. Great vocalist.
Have you ever met Austin in the Real Worlds?
Yeah.
He's so much taller than I thought he was.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I'm a pretty average dude in all aspects. But my bandmates are all very short, except for one of our members. But I was trying to recover from that. I can't. But dude, he is a unit of a human being, and it's all just love. Like, he's just such a good dude.
Yeah,
but
he's got the most infectious smile, and he's got the most like brutal like stage presence. I love it all the way through.
What a package!
Yeah, I'd say
he's got one.
I'd touch it. My number 2. ... So Unknown. Jesus Peace.
Great record.
I have been waiting for this record for a while. I've liked Jesus Peace for a while. This record made me love him.
I would agree with that.
Dude, I can't remember the lead singer's name right now, but his scream is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. It's just it's like pure aggression.
Aaron Hurd, by the way, that's his
Aaron
name.
Hurd. Yes, that's it. His scream is pure aggression, and like vocally, I can't get over just how it makes me terrified, but also like gets my adrenaline going, like fight or flight response, and I want to fight. Their stage presence incredible. Their Hate 5-6 videos are some of my favorite things to watch over and over again. The record is incredible. I think the art is incredible that goes with the record, although I think it is of the time. I think that they're a band that's going to become a mainstay in the heavy music world that is going to completely and utterly change the scene for the better.
Dude, I totally agree with that. Like, I've always liked Jesus Peace. They put on a hell of a live show, and then I've always loved their graphic work. And then I never really loved them until this record. And I'm like, it's just brutal. Like, I think it does a great job of translating their live show to tape.
100%.
And if you haven't been a Jesus Peace fan before, I think you will be now. So check it out if you haven't.
I think the record's incredible. I want everyone to listen to it and make it their Jesus. Mason, your turn. Number 2.
Number 2. This is a band. Again, a couple years ago was in my top 5 with their album, and they got a new album this year. And the band is called The Armed, and the album is called Perfect Saviors. Think of like post-hardcore in the best way, and also like they have so many fun pop elements to it. I mean, just everything about it. And also there's like a million people on the album. They're just they have like this constant rotation of different musicians that contribute. It's just such an interesting band. I can't really quite get a grasp of like what they're trying to do or who they are or whatever, but they're just incredible. And every album, everything that they make musically is just some of my favorite music. And so, yeah, they mix in these like really interesting pop and electronic elements with like some really heavy, fun hardcore breakdown stuff. It's just really well done. So good. So anyway, I highly recommend The Armed, Perfect Saviors.
Yeah, that's definitely a record everyone needs to check out. It is. Mason showed me The Armed a number of years ago, and since then they've been on constant rotation for sure.
Yeah, I often think of them as like imagine if the Chariot had like made pop music.
Yeah, or like folky pop music. Yeah,
just that's how I think of The Armed. Just that chaotic nature, but they have these electronic and pop elements to it that are just that totally works for them. It just really makes sense.
Think like folk songwriting, pop structure, heavy music all at the same time. It's a so weird combo, but man, they pull it off well.
It's well done. So that's my number 2. Justin,
you're number 1, baby.
Favorite album of 2023. Let's hear it.
So just to build the suspense, I'll go ahead and do my honorable mentions. But unless y'all veto that too, do y'all want?
We're gonna do honorable mentions here in a bit.
Yeah. Okay, I'll save that then. I didn't know. So my favorite record of this year, as of right now, is my most listened to record. That's how I decided this, and that's Post Malone's Austin. I think this record does a very good job of showing people who like Post Malone really is as a performer. I think a lot of times people just kind of like, oh, like he's like this like funny, like kind of, grungy white guy doing R&B music and like that kind of thing. And I don't know, like the songwriting on this is great. A lot of it, even though it is kind of like, like lighthearted or whatever, really tackles some like heavy situations. And like, I don't know, like it's always so weird, but also comforting in a way to hear like really sad topics, but like with happy music. And I won't like dive too deep into that, but Post Malone really showed his balls on this one because he can sing his ass off. And it's just like fun to like listen to in the car or at home or, while you're working or anything like that. So I'm really glad that this is a record that has carried his career even a little bit further in some ways. Because like he even recently he did like a acoustic performance of some of these songs at like the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, and like I love Post as a performer, and I know that like he's a big like rock fan and stuff too, but he's one of those like pop icons that I hope that he transcends this generation as well, because he's so talented and he's so down to earth and just I don't know, like he's dealing with some shit, but it's out in the open, and I just have a lot of respect for that. So, Post Malone's Austin, it's my favorite record this year.
I would say that this record is definitely on my honorable mentions. I've never been like a massive Post Malone fan, but I've always respected him, and I've always liked a few songs here and there. This record's amazing through and through. A lot more instrumentation, like real instrumentation, than you otherwise have heard in the past, and that I really, really appreciate. I don't think he can really do anything wrong. He recently did a cover of Them Bones by Alice in Chains, which is one of the greatest that's a hard song to cover, really hard song to cover, and he did it beautifully. Big fan.
I want him to do a country record so bad, and he
has done some covers of country songs, right?
Yeah. So He has, but I want him to do like an original country record because
Yeah.
I have a feeling he would just like Johnny Cash that shit and it would
Yeah.
be awesome.
I
So
think he should David Bowie trajectory his career where he just does something different on every album, becomes a
Dude,
different
he
person,
could.
different artist
I
on every album. He's the
he
kind of guy that can
could
do it. He could pull it off, and he would pull so many people into new genres that they've never even thought about trying out, you know?
totally. Like I
Yeah.
know he's teased at doing the country record, but he's also like did y'all see where like him and like Doja Cat and like some people were like joking about starting like a hardcore band and stuff, and I was like, dude, I would love that. Like, do
Yeah.
it. Let me see it. Put all of that like in the mainstream and like I don't know, like just play around with stuff and have fun. That's what music's for, you know?
Definitely.
So love Post Malone, but yeah. What's your
I
number
love it.
one?
Great.
My number
Nope.
one is Life Under the Gun by Military Gun. This band is sick, man. Like
Great
they
band.
they popped onto the scene all of a sudden. Um, and they're total professionals. I mean, like it's it's pop punk, but it's like also just like straight up punk, but it also has like some like post hardcore elements. Um, every single song I find myself like listening to and like singing along and enjoying every single aspect of it. I got to see them live at Furnace Fest, and I was absolutely blown away. I had a lot of fun with that. Um, they're a band that I think is only going to continue to get better and better and better. So I don't think this is going to be their best album, but I think that this is the jumping off point where they just continue to get better. Also, Post Malone apparently is like a huge fan of Military Gun. Like
As he should be.
he like popped in on one of their sessions or something like that and was like hanging out with them, and he's like, this is my favorite fucking song, and he starts playing one of their own songs to them, which is also very
That's so
strange.
sick.
That's super cool, super cool. I would feel so honored to have that happen, you know. Clearly, like what a connection. Anyways, Mason, number one.
My number one is from a band that has been around for a while. I think they've been around since 2005. So they've been around for almost 20 years, but they haven't released an album in 8 years. So this is their first album in
Wow.
8 years.
Okay.
And I remember a few years ago listening to them for the first time. I had never heard of them before and started listening to them. I think they were on like Death Wish, which is Jacob Bannon's, from Converge, his record label. So they've been, in fact, I think this new album is probably even on Death Wish as well. But they haven't done anything for quite some time, and I've been just kind of waiting. And then I found out that they were releasing this new album, and certainly checked it out, and immediately was like, "Wow!" Just as an album, uh, as a complete album, they nailed it. But the band is called Loma Prida, and the
Yeah.
album is called Last. If you have, and they're probably one of the lesser popular bands, probably on any of our lists. But if you have not heard of Loma Prida, you absolutely need to. Probably some of the best post-hardcore you'll ever listen to. They've got just this really interesting, really raw sound, but also this kind of indie vibe as well to them. Just really such an interesting band to me. They kind of feel a lot like Birds in a Row, if anyone knows Birds in a Row. They kind of have
Yeah.
that vibe, but my goodness, just an unbelievable band. This album was fascinating. Probably my favorite song of the year, and I don't even remember what it was called, but I just remember listening to it on this album quite a few times. But it's like this song where it's like a lot of like piano work, and then you just get into this like post-hardcore sound, and it's just like they make it work so well. So they're just able to do all these elements of music that I love, where you get these indie elements, you get this like hardcore element, and they just do it all really well. And so
Yeah.
anyway, Loma Prida's Last, best album of the year that I've heard.
I love it. Great choice. Great
Yeah,
choice.
great choice.
Everyone needs to listen to Loma Prida for sure.
So, let's talk about honorable mentions. I've got like a million bands or a million albums I can think of, but yeah, honorable mentions that we want to throw out there.
Justin, you first, man.
I'll just wrap mine up nice and neat in a little bow, but kind of what I mentioned before we started was, um, I am just this like dumb hardcore guy, but this year was the year for pop for me. So I would love to sit over here and you talked about Silent Planet and End, and we went over some really good heavy records, but for me it was really a lot of like poppier stuff. But there were like I really would love to sit here and be like, yeah, like my top records were like, Meshuggah and all that, but they didn't drop stuff. But like Dying Wish dropped a really good record this year.
Yeah,
Periphery,
Symptoms of Survival was a fantastic
so
album.
good. I like them better live for sure, but like this record is killer. And then like Periphery dropped a new record, love them. And then more on the punk side, Fiddlehead. Fiddlehead was probably my number 6 record. And then the rest of them, like just off the top of my head now, like are pop records. Like, and y'all thought you were gonna go a whole interview with me without hearing about Carly Rae Jepsen, but Carly Rae dropped the B-side, The Loveliest Time this year, and it was pretty solid. It's probably my least favorite record from her, but it's great. Kesha did Gag Order. I loved it. I liked Travis Scott's new record, Boy Genius. They dropped their new record. It's great. Teenage Wrist had a great record. There's just so much that we could go through, but lots of honorable mentions for me. But what did you guys have?
Yeah, for me, I felt like 2023 was a shotgun blast. Like there was so much stuff that came out that was so good. A lot of it, like it's going to take a couple years to get into like my like heaviest rotation because like there was just so much stuff. One in particular was Mia Folick's album. I don't know if Justin, have you heard Mia Folick before?
I haven't.
You need to write this down right now. She's a pop goddess, in my opinion. Now she's also got like this like super like edgy aspect to her. Miya is how you spell her first name. Folick, Folick. But she has an album. She has an album called Roach, which is fucking incredible. She is one of the, I would say, in my list of top 5 vocalists, she's there.
Okay,
she's that good. Like, I mean, she can hit every single range. She can meld her voice to be whatever she wants it to be, and she's a fantastic songwriter, taking on some very deep, dark issues at times. Other albums I really liked was Relax by White Denim. That's a great like blues rock record. If you've ever listened to White Denim at all, you know what I mean. But if you haven't, just go check out. If you've never listened to White Denim, go watch their Austin City Limits show. It's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to Knower, but they're kind of like this like funk band. They came out with an album called Nowhere Forever, which is absolutely incredible. And then, by the way, Louis Cole, who plays drums on that record, he also sings and stuff like that as well every once in a while. He is probably this generation's greatest drummer. Him and Yusef Days are in that conversation, but I think that Louis Cole probably takes that cake. Also, he's been referenced in songs by people like Thundercat and stuff like that. So he's yeah. If you haven't heard Louis Cole, Justin, you're missing out, especially as a drummer.
His music videos are really fun too.
Oh my God. Yes. His music videos are so much fun. There's a couple other ones I want to talk about. Covet, which is a math rock band. They came out with an album called Catharsis, which is a fantastic record. It's probably my like 6th most listened to album this year, just because it's really, really easy to listen to while I'm doing other work and stuff like that. Fantastic record. And the last one I want to say is Rap Rock Jesus by Silly Goose. That's a fun record. When I wanna just turn up and just have a good time, that's what I throw on. At least it's
such a fun show at Furnace Fest. One of the most underrated shows at Furnace Fest.
That was easily one of the most underrated shows at Furnace Fest since Furnace Fest has been a show, or a festival, I should say. That's my honorable mentions. Mason, Your turn.
Yeah, so a few of them have already been mentioned, but Boy Genius's album just barely missed the cut for me. I think it's an incredible album. Shout out to Bye Girls Everywhere. National was mentioned a couple times.
Yeah,
That
sure.
they've the National had 2 albums. In fact, one of them was a surprise album. I got to see them back in August. So much fun. They're as good as they have always been. I still think I like I'm Easy to Find more than these albums currently, these newer albums, but still an unbelievable band. It's really fascinating to watch a band that I remember you introducing the National to me, Cullen, over 10 years ago, and to think where they're at now is maybe one of the most influential bands in the world, basically influencing bands like Boy Genius and Taylor Swift, and they've got the collaborations with Bon Iver, and they just have become such an influential band. And it's really cool to see where they were at just 10 years ago as kind of this like indie rock darling, and now they're one of the bigger bands in the world. So that was one of my couple of favorite albums. Fiddlehead, Justin, you mentioned Fiddlehead. Great album. Exactly what I sort of expect from them. It's so good. I would love to see Fiddlehead again at some point. You guys haven't mentioned it, but Josh Goggin released an album this year. I think this album, the 68 album, was better than the last one, but I think
Hold up. You'd said that you thought it was worse than the last one. Initially when it came out. That's what I have a text somewhere. I'll find it, but you did tell me that.
Well,
I
after
agree,
listening to the
it
entire
is
thing,
better than the last one.
I think it's better than the last one. There are moments of it where I'm like, okay, this feels like what I've always loved from 68, and then there's a lot of what feels like kind of like filler, but it's a solid album, I think, overall.
Yeah.
And then the last one I was going to mention that Austin mentioned was Javelin by Sufjan. I love that album. It gets back to like what I love about Sufjan. So, yeah, those are my other honorable mentions.
Love it.
There's just so many, and I'm sure we could, talk for hours.
Yeah. Well, that's why, where I say like it was like a shotgun blast this year. Like in past, it's been like a sniper, right? There's been like a few here and there, and it's like, wow, these are really, really good. But this year was like, holy shit, I can't keep up. There's too many to count in that. I don't have enough time in the day to listen to all these,
Well, and there's so many albums, and I felt like this the last few years where it's like, all right, I don't have an album in my whatever album of the year, and then like the next year after I listen to that album and I'm like, holy shit. So there's a few of those albums from this year where I'm like, oh my God, that's an incredible album.
Yeah.
I texted you the other day, Cullen, about Fleshwater. They had an album last year where 100% that would have been in my top 5 last year, but just didn't know about it until just now.
For sure.
So there's albums like that too. But basically, think about it as like a working list. These are the working definition or the working list of our top 5 albums for this year. But it very well could have changed, Let's say we go back 10 years from now and we look back to 2023. Our albums could be very different, given on the fact that there's new albums that we discover or there's albums that grow on us a little bit more. You never know.
Yeah.
So, what a great year of music. Super stoked for next year. We could expect new Undertaking music. We can expect new Idle Threat music. I would imagine there's a bunch of other albums that we can expect from some of our favorite artists, but looking forward to 2024. I just feel like we're just kind of in this golden age of music. Maybe it's just because I run this damn podcast now, but I just feel like there was a moment in time where there was a few years where I'm like, I just don't really like a lot of what's coming out. But I love everything that's coming out right now. I mean, there's just so many great heavy bands, indie bands, emo bands, doesn't matter. All the music that I love, there's so much of it coming out right now. And new bands, just so many new bands too. So I'm looking forward to 2024.
Yeah, we're in a very good spot.
I would agree.
Love it. Thank you, Justin. Obviously, thank you, Austin, even though he's not here anymore, but he's no longer with us in the world. But thank you, Justin, for hanging out, chatting about your top 5 albums of the year. And we look forward to 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.